The original inhabitants of this earth were the white gods of Thule, or Thule, Hyperborea. They showed mankind civilization and put their genes in the blood. They came to Earth from other planets, maybe Venus, the morning star, in some ancient age. They all lived in Thule, in the pure virginal white polar regions. Walls of ice protected this world of masters and supermen. When the first catastrophe occurred on planet Earth, they went to live in the inside of the Earth. When the continent of Atlantis disappeared, those masters who received the Hyperborean initiation joined the others inside the Earth. Many more are arriving who have been initiated. Here Miguel Serrano says that the original inhabitants of this Earth showed mankind civilization and put their genes in the blood. A theme that is parallel to the story of the Anunnaki of ancient Sumerian times. In the Sumerian tablets, it is said that the Anunnaki taught society writing, advanced knowledge of mathematics, science, and astronomy, and according to these tablets, the Anunnaki were angels. The story of the Anunnaki is a story that is a direct copy of the saga of the Hyperboreans of Thule, of an extraterrestrial race who seemed to arrive from beyond the confines of this known world during specific junctures in time to guide and to teach mankind. Coupled with the similarity of coming to guide and teach, we find a common theme with these star beings in supposedly manipulating our DNA, or as Serrano has said in the former passage, putting their genes in the blood. As with the Anunnaki, it is also believed that these extraterrestrial beings somehow genetically manipulated our DNA, which would suggest a genetic mutation or biological manipulation to some capacity. I feel when looking to the blaring resemblance between the story of the Hyperborean white gods and the Anunnaki, we can clearly see that they are one and the same, and then can begin to ponder the possibility that the whole theme of aliens manipulating human DNA can very likely be linked to the true story of Genesis and the original sin, the racial sin to which Miguel Serrano often speaks of, where the sons of gods mixed with the daughters of men, creating a hybridized humanity via miscegenation, generating a race of giants, a half-human, half-angel crossbreed to which the Book of Enoch speaks, the semi-divine, giants of old, a tribe of titans that go by many names throughout the rounds and age, but is referred to often in the Bible as the Nephilim. So here I am theorizing that the story of the Anunnaki is really just the story of the white gods of Thule, the Venusians who come from beyond the winds of Boreal. As I have said before, all alien astronaut theories are Venusian and therefore Hyperborean, Aryan in its truest root. A synchronistic coding that can support this claim is when looking to the story of the Vril priestess Maria Orsic, who was said to have had telepathic communication with extraterrestrials from Aldebaran, a star located in the Taurus constellation. The language that was communicated to Maria was said to be of an ancient Sumerian script called Anunnaki, which is interesting as we know the great impact the Anunnaki has made in Sumerian times in relation to advanced knowledge, writing, etc. This extraterrestrial language called the Anunnaki is brought to light in Maximilian books on such topics, but I bring it up here just to illuminate a seemingly obvious connection and link between the white gods of Hyperborea, aka the Venusians, and the Anunnaki. This extraterrestrial language, Anunnaki, is obviously very similar to the word Anunnaki. But beyond that, it was said that this language was channeled through to Maria from Aldebaran, a distant star in the Taurus constellation. Aldebaran is considered to be the bull's eye of Taurus. X marks the spot for bull's eye, and interesting that the Anunnaki are said to come from Nibiru, also known as Planet X. Could Planet X just be another name for Venus or Aldebaran? Another name for some region in the Taurus constellation? And perhaps the Anunnaki just be another name for the Hyperboreans, aka Venusians? All of this seems to correlate and connect to a common origin. And whereas I can see how the variations can stir confusion, it seems pretty clear to me that all things extraterrestrial points to an astral X that marks a spot within the Taurus constellation that reveals a Venusian origin of all these seemingly separate alien astronaut theories and stories. Planet X, home of the Anunnaki, could very well be referring to the same origin, as the coding is spot on, parallel. X is the holy swastika, creation's most ancient cross, a symbol that holds the center, for it is the heart. X holds the runic value of Hegel, the he-she, as above, so below, the sky father On, the earth mother Ki, to whom the Anunnaki were said to descend from, signifying their Orphic origin, which, as we know, Orphic coding is a Venusian design. The X is also the 4 guardian islands of Thule, or Thule, the 4 seasons, the 4 elements, the 4 planes of matter to which Odin fell in sacrifice on the world tree Yggdrasil, with the sweet spot located in the center where all magic is preserved and maintained, Mount Meru, the well of ether, vril power of the Luciferians. X contains the mystery key. X is the bullseye, the swastika that circles the pole star, the map of Aryan architecture, form of the original origin. Behind both the stories of the Hyperboreans and the Anunnaki, we continue to see parallels within key themes, revealing the greater picture of totality for the one who has the ears to hear and eye to see. The only way to source truth and how it all connects is via one's blood memory, that elusive astral force that illuminates when connecting dots that will serve to strengthen the golden weave, bringing you closer to the truth of the origins. In the age of deception, the enemy creates mass confusion by disjoining the threads of the overall story. Reconnecting serves to break the illusion. The goddess Inanna, who also goes by Isa or Ishtar, bears a similar ring to it as the name Anunnaki. Inanna is also represented by the planet Venus, with one of her symbols being the 8-pointed star, which is the 8-spoked wheel, the Veneris rune dedicated to the age of Aquarius that symbolizes victory to Amor. This is all obviously Venusian and therefore Luciferian, hyperborean. Interestingly, the Arabs, the children of Esau, identify the word Isa as Jesus. Here we can see how the falsification and subjugation of names in the Christian Bible has served to convolute the truth behind these ancient deities and the syncretism behind these angel archetypes that connect to reveal the greater picture of totality. Inanna, Isa, Ishtar are all likened to Freya, the goddess mother of beauty, fertility, love, and war, she who goes by many names. When speaking to this ancient lineage, it is important to note the significance that both the All-Father and All-Mother play in relation to this pantheon of gods and goddesses, in that they do not only descend from a patriarch of one jealous masculine father, but seem to derive from the great androgyne, the he and she, the two whom are really one. This is why the Anunnaki bear the coding of Hyperborea, in that they descend from a sky father, On, and an earth mother, Ki. Furthermore, one of the Anunnaki deities was a god named Enki, who is synonymous with Lucifer. They are one and the same, revealed via the coding in their angel archetype, the light-bearing god of Venus, our Father who came from heaven. As we know, the Hyperboreans changed skins and names throughout the ages, but the point of origin in the lineage of gods remains the same. To the earth from the heavens they came, as guardians and teachers of the earthly terrain. The Aryans, in their origin, would also be the product of mixing amongst angels, the extraterrestrial gods who came from Venus, the morning star, of whom the Book of Enoch speaks to us, one of whose leaders was Lucifer, and who mixed with the daughters of men. They are the semi-divine Viras. From there also comes their racism, on the other extreme, to preserve the memory, the min, and the nostalgia. The Nephilim, aka the fallen angels, to which the Book of Enoch speaks, were known as the descendants of Enoch, who is a giant. Enoch, Anunnaki, this again reveals a common thread, decrypted from its written coding. Those seeders of half-truths who don't seek through the light in their blood attempt to disrupt the connection between these stories, disorienting one from the means of grasping the picture of totality. I feel that the star coding behind the stories of the Anunnaki and the Hyperboreans are far too parallel to be ignored. I feel the Anunnaki are the Hyperboreans, aka white gods of old, who came from some distant star in the constellation of Taurus, perhaps Venus, perhaps Aldebaran, or maybe both. These Venusians fell in a stellar battle for love and sacrifice, and for some reasons we may never know, as all things cannot fully be explained without then ceasing to exist. During this exodus from beyond, into this dense world of matter, these great extraterrestrial beings committed a racial sin, mixing with the daughters of men, putting their genes in the blood, creating a tribe of giants often referred to as the Nephilim, who continued to fall in stature within an iron state of involution until the dawning of the rising sun that is destined to come within the age of Aquarius. Another interesting connection with the giants found in the Bible is from a tribe of giants named the Anakim, who are also noted as descendants of Enoch, described as very tall and therefore associated with the Nephilim. Anakim, Anunnaki, Enki, Enoch. The correlation is found through the golden weed, a connection that simply cannot be sourced through any faulty external sources and only via one's blood memory. There, where the aha hits like lightning. Now we intend to deal with the central core of the plot, the unsolved mystery of which we have not spoken, although it has been foreshadowed. What happened with the Habiru, the Hebrews, the Israelu, the Israelites, the Eber? All were in the exodus of the rightward swastika of departure, that of the loss of Asgard, Agartha, of Shambhala, of the Hyperborean Thule, of the star, and all should find themselves together in the attempted return of the leftward swastika. We have said at the beginning, there is more than one humanity, perhaps 3, perhaps 4, just as there are 4 castes. The prologue to history is not written on this earth, but on the other, outside, in the extraterrestrial. It is there that a battle is waged and the vanquished fall like the clouds in their chariots of fire. They are the Nephilim of the Bible, giants of another world, Tuatha De Danann, the Osis or Asin, Aesir of the Nordic sagas, the Kabari of Goth. This is the first humanity, albeit divine. But here upon the earth there already existed the terrestrial men, perhaps a strain left much earlier on this planet which is involuted to a very primitive state by way of the environment or another distant catastrophe. This is the third humanity. The animal would have involuted from this. It happens now that the fallen angels, the Nephilim, mixed with the daughters of men, teaching them the art of cosmetics and sprucing themselves up. To the men they teach agriculture and the art of war. We are told all of this in the book of Enoch. It is the second fall of these angels, the most serious, out of love or necessity, like that of the Spanish in America mixing themselves with the pre-existing Aboriginal Indian. From the union of the extraterrestrials and men are born the ancient heroes, the semi-divine, the Viras. This is the second humanity. A fourth semi-humanity would be produced by mixing of the terrestrial man with animals, of which the Bible also tells us. They are Shaidim. But not all of the extraterrestrials mix with the daughters of men. It is here, in this occurrence, where one would have to translate the mystery of Eve and Lilith, the extraterrestrial woman, and the participation of the androgyne. The non-mixed remain on their continent of Hyperborea. They are the Divyas, the divine Siddhas. The semi-divine do not lose contact with them, because only with their help can they become immortal again, transmuting and purifying the astral blood. They will continue being their guides. The semi-divine are the legendary heroes, the giants of which the old texts tell us. They direct men in the conquest of new lands after the catastrophes that caused Hyperborea and Atlantis to disappear. They are the giant kings, the semi-divine heroes. It's easy to see the correspondence between the Anunnaki with the giants and titans of old in the Greek and Roman pantheon. It's all a connecting weave of the golden tapestry. Both stories of the Anunnaki and the Hyperboreans interlap via the golden weave that bonds all beings into the family tree of this star lineage. Drawing the connection via one's blood memory is the only true awakening, as awakening is remembering. For awakening is the restoration of the forgotten memory of self and of origin. The danger lies in Aryans controlled by the enemy, as their prisoners in their front organizations, corrupted by them, such as Freemasonry and the Christian churches of every kind, Theosophists, Anthropology, the Rosicrucians, and all the pseudo-esoteric societies, apparently manipulated by white traders and put into the enemy's service. In other words, the pseudo-Hercules, Heracles, who lend themselves to destroy the hero giants, like David, an Aryan Amorite, assassinating Goliath, the Aryan Philistine. In scripture it is said, and here I quote, "The Amorites were known as fierce warriors during their prime. Moses referred to Og, the king of the Amorites, as a very tall man whose bed was approximately 13.5 feet long. Despite their strong numbers and military might, the Amorites were destroyed due to their worship of false gods. Israel's conquest of their land was part of God's judgment on the pagan Amorite culture. Here we see how the Amorites are too the descendants of the Nordic hyperborean race, in the former summary that defines them as tall, mighty, and pagan. All of these signatures, though varied, are titles that represent the broad extensions of the people of Arya, recognized in the undertones of the living archetype, the very spirit of this noble tribe that cannot be mistaken." Now more on the danger that was expressed before on the Aryans controlled by the enemy. An excerpt from the Golden Thread. In the legend of Esau and Jacob is found precisely the key to that betrayal of the ancestral origin that we have been referring to. The myth had to do with astrological periods and with the shepherd kings who were covered in sheepskins in Aries, as a symbol of the power of the twice born, of those saved at the summits. So too, like the Brahmins of India who cross a cord of white wool across the chest. The Pelagian kings covered themselves in wolf skins. Jacob's usurpation by way of deception is a prototype and has continued to be performed throughout history. The semi-divine are direct, naive. They are as if they were disarmed before the cunning of the animal man. Thus, by means of a trick, Hercules kills the giants. And it's always the woman who helps in the deception, the externalized, densified Eve. By cunning and deceit, they have won the wars, and they have been deprived of the direction of the exodus, of the leftward swastika, towards the return of the golden age. The weak always beat the strong, because they are of greater number and, at the same time, the most cunning, Nietzsche wrote. Esau would be then an Aryan shepherd king, a Habiru. Here begins the falsification, the fraud. The struggle of that Jacob with the angel, if not with one of the angels of Enoch, with an extraterrestrial, will have been with Esau, or with one of his supporters who were trying to avenge the betrayal and deception, the usurpation of the leadership of the lineage of the semi-divine, of the giants. Why would Jacob fight with an angel? The angel will have been one of the giant survivors of the Nordic hyperborean race, which the enemy helped to overthrow and destroy, collaborating with the animal man, the Pasu. And who knows if the other tribes of Israel were not exterminated in some way, together with Moses, whose disappearance also remains shrouded in mystery. Our opinion is that all of this story has become mythical, like that of Homer about Troy. It has been transformed into myth. Its truth will forever be unknown to us, since here one cannot conduct a successful excavation to bring the ruins to light. All of this to say that though the lines are heavily skewed, and though there exists much deception and betrayal throughout the ages amid the ancient lineage of Nordic giants through the treason of the white traders, who fell to the distortions of the original sin, mixing with the animal men, forgetting and therefore sabotaging the light of the lineage and origin, there still remains threads amid the ruins that can relink the coatings of the broken web found in myth and legend. There are 36 tribes of giants mentioned in the Bible. I see this to be 36 tribes of one race, one lineage, that being Hyperborean Venusian. These many tribes span throughout all four corners of this world, following the exodus into Asia Minor from the north. I pull this connection from the fact that one of the tribes of giants, called the Amalekites, descend from a man named Amalek, who was a grandson of Esau. Esau, as has been described by Maestro Miguel Serrano, was an Aryan shepherd king. Amalek is described as the sheaf of Amalek among the sheaves of the sons of Esau. It is said one of the first people to directly challenge the Israelites as they left Egypt were the Amalekites, a nomadic tribe descendant from Amalek, grandson of Esau. Here we see the link between the ancient Amalekites and Esau, the Aryan shepherd king, delivering a key to the present-day battle, which in truth is a very, very ancient battle. When Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, said in his speech against the Palestinians, quote, "We must remember what Amalek has done to us," it was a direct war cry against the vestiges of an ancient extraterrestrial race whose lineage is traced from east to west, north to south, but whose memory awakens only in the blood of the few. Number 13 is the key passage on giants in the land of Canaan. Moses sent 12 Israelite spies to scout out the land and assess whether the people who dwell in it are strong or weak. The spies returned to Moses after 40 days and gave a good report about the land. It flows with milk and honey, and this is its fruit. However, the people who dwell in the land are strong, and the cities are fortified and very large. And besides, we saw the descendants of Anak there. The Amalekites dwell in the land of Negeb. The Hittites, the Jebusites, and the Amorites dwell in the hill country, and the Canaanites dwell by the sea and along the Jordan. We saw the Nephilim there. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them. The Nephilim, descendants of Enoch, who I pressed to connect via the telling coding, are the descendants of the Anunnaki. The Anunnaki, who I am also here suggesting are the white gods of old, to whose memory has been systematically dismantled for centuries. These beings, in the highest tone of all truth, are Luciferians, hyperborean, Aryan, half-human, half-angel hybrids. Through the age of iron, they slept in amnesia in relation to their divinity and origin. An amnesia that was not only brought on through the original sin, but through the endless cunning and manipulation of the white traitors who team with the enemy to destroy the memory of the origin, to then annihilate the extraterrestrial spirit of the Venusians. The Nephilim are the semi-divine and of a Venusian origin, Nordic, hyperborean. Many tribes, one race, one lineage. Understanding how the tribes of giants in the Bible all descend from one polar solar race who share a sacred lineage via the golden thread, birth about within a deeper clarity in relation to the war in which we here now fight, in new skins and new names, destined to rise in memory from our present involuted state. In the many years of wandering in the desert, 10 Hebrew tribes are lost. At the end, only the tribe of Judah, the least morally and intellectually qualified, remains. They descend from a Shaidim, half man, half animal, as is made clear by Robert Shiro. Hence comes their obsession with race and sin, racial sin. They alter and falsify the tradition of the Hebrews, Habirus, appropriating it for their own. And most curious how the word Habiru, synonymous with the word Hebrew, bears a similar ring to the word Nibiru, to which the Anunnaki are said to originate. As Claudio Muti has said, Judaism of the origins was formed through the inclusion of a series of foreign elements, foreign to the supermixed people. We have seen how Moses, who was not a Jew, nor was Joseph, an Egyptian priest named Tuiah, nor was Joshua, a Philistine general who stopped the sun, successor of Moses. Solomon would have been an Assyrian named Salmanasar, or an Aryan Amorite initiated into the Egyptian mysteries of Hathor. Even kings David and Saul. The enemy took the idea of the Messiah from Egypt, about which one can read in the stones of the Egyptian temples, as well as in Iran. Even the term Hebrews did not pertain to them. In conversations in northern Germany with Pastor Jürgen Spanuth, tireless investigator of the history of the Hyperboreans and their penetration into Asia Minor and onto Egypt, he confirmed that the name Hebrew appears for the first time in an Egyptian temple and which may mean giant. Spanuth also affirmed the idea of a chosen people is Nordic Aryan, arriving from Asia Minor with the Hyperboreans from Iran, then with the Philistines, with the Hyksos, with the Amorites. The enemy appropriated the term. They also lent themselves several runic characters such as the pentagon, the Star of 6 Points of David and the Seal of Solomon, which in truth is the Nordic rune Hegel of the god Odin. They adulterated it. Jacob is also not a Jewish name, and his struggle with the angel is proof of hyperborean initiation. Jacob was a nephew of Abraham, who was not Semite. The very name Israel that was given to Jacob by the angel means he who fights with God, and refers to the mystery of the Hyperborean Grail, which centuries later would be revived in the legend of Parzival. All this came from the north, as the king priests of the polar center, Ermin, Atlas, Poseidon, Apollo, Melchizedek, like Salem, Solomon. The symbol is completed with the Queen of Sheba, which means south, signifying the union of both poles, of the north and south, in the Song of Songs. Spanuth has demonstrated that the Nordics, after suffering defeat at the hands of Pharaoh Ramses II, returned to the north, and those who remained prisoners escaped with Moses, carrying the Ark, Arcadia, with the radical R from Aryan, from at, and its associated knowledge with them. In this exodus, that perhaps took place not in Asia Minor, but in the Gobi Desert, in imitation of the most ancient polar exodus of Hyperborea, and there they were infiltrated by the tribe of slaves, that of Judah, who in the end appropriated everything, falsifying even what remained of an antediluvian document, Genesis. They erased all traces of the original bonds of the superior races with another cosmos, destroying the evidence of their divine extra-universe origin. Since the last war, Jewish politics has been directed to destroy the remnants of the Aryan race in the world, especially invading England, France, and Germany with armies of other races. The white race will consequently quickly disappear, just like the mythical Amorite, who were the original biblical Nephilim that once arrived from beyond the stars. The enemy took from them the conception of a chosen people.